everyone, and welcome to this week's newsletter tip. I hope you all enjoyed reading last week's 10-yard golf studio challenge that we talked about. From the 10 people that took part last week, I think all of them found it useful in one way or another, and I believe we managed to help all of them improve various aspects of their driving, whether it's accuracy, distance or consistency. So it was a really good event, and I'd thoroughly recommend getting your name down when we do the next one, hopefully in a short time period. This week, as promised, I mentioned that I was going to bring you some of those tips so that it could actually help you optimise your driving. Now, one of the first things we looked at last week was strike location. Now, sounds possibly too good to be true, but one of the things that we noted last week is rather than trying to hit the ball more out the middle of the golf club, which is obviously what we're trying, a lot of golfers tend to be hitting it a little bit all over the face, so a little bit sort of inconsistent. Now, one of the biggest things we see really with drivers is the strike location moving up and down the face. Now, this is heavily linked to tee height, okay? So if you're tending to hit it very much out the bottom of the club, it's generally because you're teeing the ball too low. If you're hitting it very much out the top of the club, it can be the opposite, that you're teeing the ball too high. Now, a good way to think about it is when we start, we want to see roughly half the ball above the top of the golf club, okay? Now, this should allow you then to correctly sort of hit up at the ball as you strike it. Now, if that happens, we should get the ball out the centre of the face as we're trying to, okay? So again, really simple tip there guys, but give it a go because tee height makes a massive difference to the actual overall efficiency of how well you strike that ball. And we saw massive improvements just by changing that, and only that, with some people last week. So definitely want to try. Number two, and probably one of the most important things to double check, is your ball position. Now, this is the one that we see most people get wrong. Okay, now a lot of golfers we saw last week were tending to play the ball too far inside that left heel. Now, as a result, it almost gets you to set up to the ball a little bit like an iron, with your weight sort of almost 50-50 across both sides of your body. Now, this type of setup position here is almost going to encourage you to hit down on the golf ball, okay, because that's exactly what you're trying to do with an iron. Now, with a driver, that's not particularly efficient. Okay, if we are hitting down on the ball with a driver, we could be de-lofting it, hitting some low ones, we could be getting underneath it, skying it, but also, the further back we play the ball, the more the golf club is swinging and pointing to the right. Okay, so that can be heavily linked to why a golfer will start the ball to the right, curve the ball to the right, basically miss the target to the right. Okay, so really important. Make sure you check that ball position and get it towards that left heel. Now, you can, if you need to, go as far forward as that left toe as well, that left big toe. So, but I'd start from the left heel and see how that kind of goes. Now, from there, number three, weight distribution. Okay. Once we've got the ball in the right place, it's important that we feel that we're actually 60-40 on that right side, okay? Again, because it encourages you to hit more up on the golf ball. If we're leaning into it, we're going to be hitting down on it, okay? Now, number four is spine angle, spine tilt, okay? So when we're set up to the golf ball for driver, we definitely want to see you slightly tilted away from the target, as you can see there. We don't want to go too much, okay, because that can cause you to top it or even miss it. So we want to just see a tiny bit of spine tilt. Now, the reason for this, as you can see, it angles my shoulders up to the sky slightly. Now, this is definitely going to help you, in conjunction with the ball position and the weight distribution, to kind of almost feel that you're going to hit the ball more on the upswing. So, I keep mentioning this word up. Why is that important, everyone? Well, if you hit the ball on the way up, as opposed to on the way down, for most golfers, it's the simplest way of increasing your driving distance. How much? Well, it depends on your club head speed, but for a lot of golfers, it can add sort of 20 to even 30 yards extra distance just from changing the angle of attack from down to actually up. Okay, so by hitting the ball on the upswing, it almost increases the launch, the loft on the driver to help you get the ball starting higher. It helps reduce that nasty spin that we see on the shots. And really, it's the recipe for long, straight drives. Okay, so let me try and show you one. Now, I'm still suffering with my hands at the moment, so I can't grip it properly. So, obviously bear with us, but I'll try my best. So I've used the orange tee there, and you can see that's positioned the ball sort of nicely halfway above the top of the club. Ball position off my left heel. As we say, weight 60-40 on the right. Feel like I'm sort of behind the ball, leaning behind it. Then from here, really, the next most important thing is follow through. Okay, really important with driver. Try and make a nice balanced follow through, really until that ball finishes. Here we go. So not the longest I'm going to hit, but say struggling to grip it still at the moment, but nice and straight, pretty consistent. I'll be happy with that out on the golf course. Okay, but there you go, some simple tips really to try and help you improve your driving. So give them a go and let us know how you get on.